The future of St. Louis really is up in the air. Virtually everyone agrees that future growth and progress in the St. Louis region depends on a strong and thriving transportation system, especially in air travel. As one of the nation's major cities, St. Louis must meet the increasing capacity demands of today's airline industry, while planning sound strategies for tomorrow. Members of the Missouri-St. Louis Metropolitan Airport Authority, which oversees and provides guidance for the region's transportation systems, have spent many months analyzing recently proposed expansion alternatives for Lambert St. Louis International Airport. We have received valuable technical expertise and cooperation from dozens of well-informed industry and community leaders, united in a common goal: find the most effective, efficient, and responsible short-term and long-term steps for meeting the air travel needs of the St. Louis region. After careful analysis, we believe we have identified an expansion alternative that meets this goal without safety risks and enormous costs. This brief presentation summarizes the authority's views in three main areas. First, an understanding of the current economy and airline industry. Second, consideration of the proposed F4 expansion plans for Lambert. And third, an alternative plan of action that best meets the region's airline travel needs. First, a summary of recent developments in the U.S. economy and airline industry. The New York Times reports that the friendly skies no longer exist for U.S. airlines. The continued uncertainty in the Middle East, rocketing jet fuel prices, economic debt, and recession have left several major airlines on the brink of financial ruin. Since 1978, we have witnessed the consolidation of more than 20 airlines into only 8 U.S. airlines flying today. Several of these are in dire straits. In fact, U.S. Transportation Secretary Samuel K. Skinner has expressed the view that only 3 or 4 national airlines may be flying in the very near future. As one Harvard economics professor put it, the airline industry isn't in a recession, it's in a depression. Here at home, TWA's odds for survival are in question, so it is important to be realistic when considering what expansion plans at Lambert are truly in the interest of all airlines. The truth is that the future of the airline industry is completely unpredictable. In this era of deregulation, buyouts, and bankruptcies, it is simply not possible to accurately predict air travel demand just a few years from now, let alone 20 years into the future. It is important to understand this background about the sluggish economy and the shaky airline industry when considering plans to expand air capacity for the future. One such plan, known as the F4 expansion at Lambert St. Louis International Airport, is the next subject we will address. The F4 plan in its current stages proposes beginning at the southwest edge of the airport and extending northwest by adding a 9,000-foot runway. Then, in a series of construction projects to be completed in the year 2005, existing runways would be demolished and replaced by new runways at a more northerly cant. The city's airport engineering team has been hesitant to answer questions raised about details of the F4 plans. However, serious issues have been raised by enough informed air traffic controllers, pilots, aviation experts, businessmen, private citizens, and others to demand that F4 be closely scrutinized. It is the opinion of the Missouri-St. Louis Metropolitan Airport Authority that there are many unanswered questions and flaws in the F4 plan. In the interest of time, we will quickly summarize our most serious issues with the F4 plan. First, F4's layout flaws. The proposed runway layout results in a great number of active runway crossings, a prime FAA concern. Also, the long stagger between the southernmost landing and takeoff runways does not meet the required minimum distance for simultaneous takeoffs and landings in poor weather. This means F4 will result in extremely inefficient ground operations and delays, with no operational advantages over other expansion options. Landing operational numbers after F4 expansion appear greatly exaggerated. In fact, the F4 plan claims a far greater number of operations than can be achieved at the world's busiest airports, even under optimal conditions. Long-term expansion is projected to be obsolete within 5 years of finished expansion in 2005, and Lambert cannot expand again unless it moves into areas it now claims to be protecting. Finally, F4 proposes the simultaneous use of 3 parallel runways in a maximum capacity mode. However, the notion of triple simultaneous operations has been rejected as too confusing and unsafe by air traffic controllers at Los Angeles, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Atlanta airports. Simply put, F4's layouts present serious new problems with no better capacity than can be achieved by other alternatives. Next, we must consider noise and environmental impact. F4's noise footprints are inaccurate based on revised plans and runway usage. F4 will result in more noise impact in almost every direction from Lambert that is presently admitted to. The construction of F4 will have serious adverse effects on ongoing operations at Lambert. Lambert construction from F4 will seriously interrupt existing airport operations, particularly when the 2 center runways are being constructed. Safety concerns are among the most glaring problems with F4. McDonnell Douglas Buildings number 1 and number 2, occupied by thousands of workers, underlie 2 proposed runway protection zones. Statistically, the largest percentage of accidents in the U.S. occur within RPZs. The McDonnell Douglas buildings present a serious risk to air navigation and to workers on the ground. While trying to meet the letter of the law, F4 ignores the intent of FAA airport construction guidelines. The end-to-end length of the airport will adversely affect the tower's ability to see and control aircraft in inclement weather. Lengths of the proposed runways are short when compared to those of other 4 parallel runway hubs in Dallas, Atlanta, and Los Angeles, and to the new Denver airport. Another disturbing aspect of the F4 plan is confusing cost estimates. Serious charges have been made that F4's estimated cost of $1.5 billion is understated. A fair cost comparison indicates F4 may cost as much as $200 million to $300 million more, or more than $1.7 billion. Grossly inconsistent cost comparisons were apparently used to unfairly disadvantage alternative plans. In summary, F4, as currently planned, poses serious safety risks, is technically flawed, and enormously expensive. An alternative, the Missouri Airport Plan. The Missouri-St. Louis Metropolitan Airport Authority has conducted extensive research to develop an alternative, immediately actionable, low-cost plan for expanding Lambert. In fact, our plan incorporates new air traffic control technology, which was not yet available when F4 was originally proposed. For now, we'll call this new plan the Missouri Airport Plan, a 3 parallel runway concept at Lambert with the following important features. First, sufficient capacity to permit Lambert to continue functioning as a major hub at the 19 million enplanement level. 2, construction costs which are only a fraction of the cost to construct F4. 3, negligible change in the noise footprints from the present airport. 4, almost all construction within the present boundaries of the airport. 5, minimum impact on airport operations during construction. 6, early completion date as compared to F4. The Missouri Airport Plan achieves peak capacity when the maximum growth is occurring, not 5 to 10 years after the growth rate has peaked, as with F4. Specifically, the Missouri Airport Plan starts immediately with a series of taxiway modifications desired by the FAA in St. Louis to more effectively handle ground operations at Lambert today. Several high-speed taxiways, expanded holding areas, and modifications to the present taxiway systems are part of this overall design. Then this plan adds 1 runway 800 feet north and parallel to the present north runway. The runway is 9,000 feet long and has a localizer approach to the southeast and an instrument landing system approach to the northwest. In addition, the present north runway is extended 500 feet for a total of 9,500 feet, and the present south runway is extended 1,000 feet to 12,000 feet. The north taxiway system provides access to the cargo and general aviation services on the north. An additional taxiway is added south of the present center field taxiway, as well as a taxiway behind the departure end of the south runway. The Missouri Airport Plan calls for a portion of McDonnell Boulevard to be rerouted east of the airport to connect to a modified Scudder Road Bridge over I-170. The 2 present general aviation facilities are moved to a new location on the northeast side of the airport. The Berkeley School Complex is relocated, as is the 94th Aero Squadron. The Missouri Airport Plan can be completed at a fraction of the estimated $1.7 billion cost of F4. Despite attempts by F4 proponents to distort the facts, our analysis proves Lambert's expansion objectives can be met for combined construction and terminal expansion costs of $536 million, a savings to taxpayers of over $1 billion. Impact on the area surrounding Lambert is truly minimal with the Missouri Airport Plan. That's because this plan keeps virtually all construction within current airport boundaries, and the new flight paths overlay present noise abatement paths for Lambert's existing runways. Compare this scenario to the massive changes that would be required for F4. F4 places current McDonnell Douglas buildings within the hazardous runway protection zones. The Missouri Airport Plan does not. F4 calls for construction of a runway into Bridgeton, resulting in major home and business buyouts. The Missouri Airport Plan does not. F4 results in more noise in almost every direction from Lambert. The Missouri Airport Plan overlays existing noise footprints. F4 requires relocation of Lindbergh Boulevard and the Norfolk Western Railroad tracks. The Missouri Airport Plan does not. F4 calls for relocation of the National Guard. The Missouri Airport Plan does not. F4 requires the construction of 3 additional runways. The Missouri Airport Plan achieves virtually the same capacity with the intelligent use of 1 additional runway. F4 calls for relocation of the TWA Training Center. The Missouri Airport Plan does not. F4 calls for the Henry VIII Motel to be raised. The Missouri Airport Plan does not. The comparison could continue, but the bottom line is that a sound, responsible alternative is available to avoid the many problems and drawbacks to F4. That alternative is the Missouri Airport Plan. In conclusion, the airline industry is in upheaval, making this a poor time to sink over $1.7 billion into a plan based on uncertain future needs. Now is not the right time to move forward with costly, technically flawed, potentially unsafe plans such as F4. But now is the right time to explore a cost-effective plan like the Missouri Airport Plan, which meets the increased capacity demand as we know it for the near future, but without F4's safety hazards and enormous price tag. And most importantly, now is the right time for the St. Louis region to work together, openly and honestly, to find the right solutions. A proposal for this new plan, the Missouri Airport Plan, is attached. We can and must work together to keep St. Louis's future looking up. After all, our future really is up in the air.